Okay, think it's working. Okay, let's get going. This is 2830, and I have an echo. Yeah, this is 2830 Web Application Development 1. I see a lot of familiar faces. You've probably taken my course before, which is good. Today we're going to talk about how my course operates, and then we will hopefully look at a little bit of code. So I had some problems with the Canvas site. I just got that up this morning. I was up pretty late last night, 2 a.m. Still couldn't get it going. Finally, the IT guys helped me get it up. So there's probably some issues with it. I'm still going over it all. But go ahead and log in. You want to get used to following along in class. Okay, so if you have a laptop, great, open it up, go to Canvas. We're going to go over the syllabus. There'll be a quiz on it, but today I'm going to tell you all the answers to that quiz. So I recommend taking some notes. Okay, and that's how my classes go. So if you come to class, you're going to have the answers to the quizzes and you'll have the answers to the challenges. As I'm teaching, I'll say, this is going to be on a quiz, this is going to be on a test. Put a little star there and go over and study that later on. I had a student one time, he said, he was taking a quiz, he opened up his notes, he said, like 90% of the questions on that quiz I went over and I had the answers to. So if you take notes, I can, well, I guess I shouldn't guarantee, but I can predict that you'll do well in the course. Anyway, here's Canvas. That's what we're using. We've been using it for a while now. You go to courses.missouri.edu. Used to be a few links. Now there's only Canvas, so hit the Canvas link. I develop my course in modules. So once you get to the Canvas site, you're going to see just a few options. You're going to see the syllabus, announcements, modules, and then assignments. Everything's in modules. You should see module 1 already. So module 1, that's week 1. I just got it up this morning, so there's not much there, but there will be. You'll see the syllabus up at the top. Okay, under course information, you could also hit the syllabus tab over here on the left. Open that up. Okay, if you see some errors, let me know. Yesterday we posted the Canvas site, a bunch of links weren't working. So if you see a link that's not working, send me an email. So this course is kind of like Intro to Web Development. We learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That's in the first half. A lot of times students in the first half, they say, oh, I already know this. Well, just sit tight, wait till the second half. We're going to get into a lot of technical stuff when we hit server side. So if you're applying for a job, you'll be looking for full stack development. This is a full stack development course. We go into the front end, then we go into the back end later. This is Strickland Hall. I hate having course over here because it's really far from engineering. But I do like getting out of the engineering building. So at least we can get out and kind of explore the campus a little bit. Luckily, it's at 11, so it's not too early. It's kind of the right time. No labs, but we will have challenges. Final exams on Wednesday, 10 a.m. Now, 10 a.m. may be earlier to you, but when I see that, I'm very grateful because last semester, all my finals were at 7:30 a.m., and that was horrible. So 10 a.m., that's a relief. That's a good time. You should take 2050. A lot of students maybe had issues with 2050. Maybe they want to do web development and they're not from CS or engineering. That's a pretty soft prereq. So if you know somebody who's trying to get in and they don't have that prereq, let me know. They have some programming background. They could probably do well in this course. So I'm Professor Wergeles. Last name's kind of difficult, Wergeles. I'm over there in Engineering Building North. It's right across from Laffery. My office hours are on Canvas. Mine are probably the only ones that are finalized. Still working out the TA's office hours. I have a centralized email address. So don't search my name in the course email. Send it to the centralized email address. Me, the TAs, we're all looking at that. It's an easier way for me to respond to 300 plus students. Okay, so when you search, just search CS2830, and that's how you'll get a hold of me. You send it to my personal one, I'm not going to be checking that email. So you probably won't get a response. A little bit about myself. I graduated at University of Central Missouri with my undergrad, and that was a long time ago. And I had a job offer in the industry at AT&T in St. Louis for around $65,000 per year. That was a lot for me, especially back then. And I was kind of fighting my parents. My parents really wanted me to go to graduate school here at Mizzou, and I wanted to go out and make some money. So my dad, he told me, he said, son, you got to go to graduate school. I said, Dad, I'm about to make more money than you. Let me go out in the industry. Let me make some money. He said, son, you got to go to graduate school. We butted heads for a while, and finally he convinced me to go. He said, son, we're not going to support you anymore. You got to go. It's really important. Every day I saw my dad, I was so upset with him. Dad, what are you doing? I'm back in school. This sucks. I'm not making any money. Got my graduate degree. That was the best thing I ever did. Now when I see my dad, I thank him every day that I went back to graduate school. After grad school, I applied for the big companies, the phone companies, Facebook, Amazon, Google. I had some interviews. The school wanted me to stay here and teach. So I talked to my dad again. I said, Dad, what should I do? He said, time is the most important thing. It's not all about the money. Time is important. So he convinced me to stay here and teach. Well, once I started teaching, I had too much time. So I started up a business. It's called Streamline Technology Company. We do contracts for the state. We do contracts for the school. I'm doing a contract right now for the University of Pittsburgh. And I have a little business on the side that's hopefully going to be successful. So I'm happy that I have that extra time. But anyway, I've been in computer science and programming for over 10 years. I have a lot of experience. Websites is what I first started with. So I have a lot of background on websites and mobile app development. So hopefully we'll have a good semester. Okay, hopefully I can bring a lot of that industry experience to the classroom. For my course, we use challenge-based learning. There's a few instructors using that. Actually, if you go back to Canvas, oh, by the way, the location of the course and the time, that's going to be on a quiz. And then, let's see, we'll go over here to my office hours. So go back to Canvas, go to modules. If you go to office hours and TA information, I actually have two TAs. I'm waiting for the picture of the other one. But the office hour location is going to be a quiz question. Okay, where's my office hour? It's EBN 226. That's a quiz question. The TAs were in Laffery last semester. I'm not sure where they're going to be. This isn't finalized. But that's Christian. He was TA last semester. Okay, some of you may know him. He's a good TA. He loves web development. I think he had a big internship this summer. Here it says virtual office hours. A lot of times you don't want to come to class just to talk to me for 10 minutes. So I'll be hosting my office hours on Zoom as well. So anytime you see my office hour, you can log in through Zoom there and probably reach me as well. Sometimes I may not be in the office. Maybe I'll be at home in my PJs. Okay, so you can log in on Zoom. We can cancel the cameras. We don't need to look at each other. Just share your screen. I can look at the code and hopefully help you. Okay, Zoom is really powerful. I was actually in Silicon Valley all summer, and I continued working all summer. So everything I could do here, I could do in Silicon Valley on Zoom. Okay, so I really like Zoom. It's very powerful. A lot of students were worried about it, and then when they used it, all they used was Zoom. Okay, so give it a try. It's actually pretty cool. Here's the challenge-based learning PDF. Okay, one big thing I want to talk about here, you'll want to read this for the quiz. I'm going to give you a challenge each week. Okay, that's going to be a real-world challenge. If you've taken my course before, you already know this. I'm going to give you a challenge. Hopefully it's going to have some real-world techniques that you're going to learn. So you're going to want to produce a solution for that challenge and submit it. And we're going to judge your performance based off of our solution. But the big thing to remember in programming is there's not just one solution. A lot of students will say, oh, what's Professor Wergley's solution? What does he want me to do? Well, there's 100 different ways to program that. So come up with a solution. If it works, it works. Don't worry about the exact solution. There's a bunch of different ways to develop it. But we need to judge your performance. So we have a solution. We're going to judge it based off your solution. Okay, you can think of as long as your program returns the right result type of thing. So there's a lot of different ways. But the big one that students don't do is this last one here, which is reflection. So after the challenge is done, a lot of students, they just go on and that's it. What you should really do is go back, view your grade, where'd you get points taken off, what's Professor Wergley's trying to get me to learn, what's Professor Wergley's going to put on the exam. You know, go back and reflect on that challenge. What do I need to do better? Where can I improve? What do I need to study for the exam? If you just do the challenge and move on, it doesn't really serve a purpose. And that's how coding works as well. In the industry, you get a beta version up. You got your beta version, you go back, you refactor that code. You make it better, you make it more efficient. Now you're on version 2, you go back again, version 3, make it faster, make it shorter. And that's what you should do for the challenges as well. Get your prototype up, go back, reflect on that. Okay, going back to syllabus. I am down in getting help. Okay, getting help and assistance. So I have 300 plus students. It's really hard for me to respond to everybody's email individually. That's why I have a centralized email address. So what I tell students is the best way to get help in this course is go to the TAs, ask for help. Now I'm going to have 2, maybe 3 TAs for this course. So let's say you go to that TA and you're like, I'm not really satisfied with the answer they gave me. It didn't really help. Go to the next TA. Try to get help from them. Okay, if all the TAs can't help you, then the TA will come to me and say, hey, I couldn't really help this student. Can you help them? If you try to come to me, all 300 plus students directly, I can't handle all those requests. So go to the TAs, ask for help. If they can't help you, then I'll help you. Okay, if you come straight to me, it's just going to overload and I won't be able to help anybody. The other way is I have a discussion board on Canvas. You know, maybe you need help. You submit a discussion board. Maybe another student can help you. Okay, I'll try to also reply to the discussion boards. However, those discussion boards, comments on Canvas, messaging me on LinkedIn, okay, those aren't official ways to get a hold of me. I have a lot of students that say, hey, I left you a comment on Canvas. Why didn't you respond? It's been a month. I said, oh, they have comments on Canvas? They said, why didn't you respond to my LinkedIn? Oh, we're friends on LinkedIn? You know, so the best way to get a hold of me is through email, through the centralized email, or in person. Sometimes that email address will get overwhelmed, and then the best thing is just come by and talk to me in person. Okay, so email is an official way, and in person is an official way to get a hold of me. That's a quiz question. No textbook. Okay, every time I do a textbook, it's outdated. All of the material we're going to use is online. It's going to be online documentation. That's actually a very good skill to have. So if you're out in the industry and you're working, searching Google, finding online documentation, reading that documentation, finding coding examples online, these are all skills you need to have for the industry. So everything's going to be online. If you want to buy a book, okay, feel free to buy the book. We should be good this semester, but let's say we get a snow day or for some reason they're canceling class. I usually don't cancel class because it throws off the whole schedule. So I'll have a virtual lecture. It's going to be on Zoom. I can have up to like 150 people, so we should have enough. You log on, you see the screen just like this, and you can be at home and follow along on the lecture. Okay, you can answer questions. It's just like we're sitting here. It's just everybody's in their own location. So those virtual lectures, let's say you decide, oh, they're canceling class. I don't want to go. Well, that material will be on the exam. It will be in the challenges. So that's what that's saying there. Same with the out-of-class videos. I have a bunch of videos on YouTube. The knowledge on those videos will be on the exam. They'll be on the quizzes. So you'll need to be responsible for getting that information. Okay, attendance. Here comes a quiz question. Attendance is required. I'm passing a sign-in sheet around. You should see it already. Make sure you sign in. A lot of times the students who do well in my class are the ones who are coming to class. Okay, the students who are coming to class, I'm saying what's on the quiz right now. That's how it's going to be all semester. I'm going to tell you what's on the challenge, how to do the challenge, how to do the quizzes, how to do the exam. So if you're coming, you have all the solutions. Of course you're going to do well. If you don't come, you don't have that solution. So you have to try on your own. Okay, so coming to class is the best way to get a good grade. The other thing I noticed to get a good grade is the students who go to the office hours. They go to the TA's office hours, they're getting help, they get a good grade. If you need to miss class, no big deal. You know, you got a doctor's appointment, whatever, you don't feel well, send me an email, let me know. If you miss a few classes, it's not a big deal. So a lot of times students are like, oh, can you sign me in? So then their buddy signs them in. After about a week or so, I know everybody's face, so I know whether you're here or not. So if you do a false sign-in, they say you have your buddy sign you in, then you'll be penalized for that. Okay, so don't do it. If you miss a few classes, no big deal. And that's what you'll see here. Okay, false sign-ins, poor performance. Email me if you're going to miss class. Okay, here's where things are going to get complicated, and here's where a lot of quiz questions are. Okay, all assignments must be completed by the due date and time to receive full credit. I do accept late work, but there's a penalty. Okay, you'll see here is a 25% deduction per day. That's a quiz question. So if it's 25% each day, after so many days, what is it, 3? So on day 4, you're going to get a 0 for that assignment. You can still turn it in, get graded, know how you did, but you'll receive a 0. And the deadline's very strict. So Canvas is weird. I put it at 11:59 p.m., so it's supposed to be midnight. It's actually 11:59:00. Okay, so if it's a few seconds after that, Canvas marks it as late, and then that's 25%. So I get a lot of emails, oh, it says 11:59:05. Can you count that? No, because if I count yours, what prevents me from counting somebody else's who was 10 seconds later? And it gets so complicated. So it's just a really strict deadline, 11:59:00. 1 second afterwards, it's late, 25%. Now here's where it gets more complicated. That's only on the programming assignments. Canvas is really weird about quizzes. So you can't do any late work on quizzes or on the exams. Okay, so it's only on the challenges and the final project. So there's a quiz question. It says, mark all the assignments that you cannot turn in late. Okay, you cannot turn in quizzes late. You cannot turn the online exam, the online midterm, and the online final. Okay, and the in-class exams as well. So if you see quiz and exam, mark it. And you'll see the answer right here too. It says quizzes and exams. Okay, here's another quiz question. So I have that late policy. Every day it's 25% late. So let's say you're on challenge 1. You turn it in 1 day late. Okay, now the semester is going through. We're on the reading day. So we're on finals week. I don't want to get an email and say, hey, challenge 1, you forgot to regrade. And I'm thinking, well, what was challenge 1? Okay, there's a final cutoff date for those to be regraded, which is reading day. So let's say you submit challenge 1 late. You need to keep on top of it. I have 300 plus students. It's hard for me to keep track of all the late work. Just stay on top of it. 2 weeks go by. You see it's not regraded. You send an email. Hey, Professor Wergeles, I don't see my grade change. What's going on? Oh, I'm still working on it. 2 more weeks go by. It hasn't been fixed. Hey, Professor Wergeles, it's been another 2 weeks. I don't see my grade change. What's going on? Okay, so stay on top of it. Stay on top of your grade. If it's not regraded by reading day, the grade stands as is. Okay, here's some weights. Challenges are the highest weight, but what I see make or break the A in my class is the final project. Okay, we're going through the semester, we're getting towards the end, you got that B+, you really want the A. Usually the final project is to make or break it for the A. So I'll give you like over a month to do the final project, and if you start early, the probability of getting a good grade is very high. If you're that student, it's like the last week, you got 1 week till reading day, and you're just now starting, then don't expect to get a very high grade there, unless you worked, 20-hour days or something. It is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. It'd just be very difficult. But that final project is usually to make it or break it for the A. Okay, grading disputes. So I allow grading disputes. We're human, we're not perfect, we're going to make mistakes. Now, what's a grading dispute? Grading dispute is when I say you need to do X, Y, Z, you clearly did X, Y, Z, and we count you off for X. So you say, hey, Professor Wergeles, here's the requirement right there, but you took off, actually I don't grade, the TA's grade. TA's took off 10 points. We go back, we say, oh yeah, it's right there, plus 10. We fix it up. But I'll get a lot of emails that say, hey, Professor Wergeles, I can tell the TA was in a bad mood that day, and he just graded me way too hard. Or, man, it was at the deadline, I forgot to put my name up there. Can I get those points back? Okay, that's not a grading dispute. Grading dispute is when we make a mistake and it's a legitimate mistake. Okay, so send an email, but there's a timeline on that. So I had grading disputes, and then students were waiting to the end. They say, I have a B+. Oh, I can do a grading dispute back on challenge 1. Okay, so after we release the grades, here's a quiz question. You have 1 week to dispute that grade. So usually the challenges are due on Friday. We're going to grade it within 1 week, and then you have 1 week to dispute. After that, don't even send me an email. I'm not going to respond. Okay, as we're moving along, if you had a dispute, you would have sent it in if it was a big deal. But what a lot of students do is like, oh, I'm 5 points away from an A-. Let me go back to challenge 1 and get those points back. Well, at that time, I don't know what challenge 1 was. Okay, we're moving on. So that's why you have the 1 week to dispute the grade. Okay, but a few more things on this. That 1 week doesn't mean we're going to get it done in 1 week. That's just for you to submit it. It may take me all semester to get that done. Okay, but you have 1 week to submit that. How do you submit it? You send an email. Professor Wergeles, challenge 1, -10 on X, and I clearly did it. It's right here on lines 55 through 60. Go, I check it. Okay, yeah, you're right. Put the points back. Okay, but I may not get it done in 1 week. And not all grade disputes will be rewarded points back. Sometimes it's borderline. You say it's there, it's like, not really. So even though you submit a dispute doesn't mean you're going to automatically get those points back. Okay, we still have to verify it. Okay, same thing for late work. Goes for those disputes. You did a dispute on challenge 1. We're coming up to reading day. You didn't stay on top of it. It never got regraded. After reading day, the grade stands as is. Okay, so that's a quiz question right there. Late work and grading disputes need to be regraded by reading day. So just stay on top of it. Professor Wergeles, what's going on with it? 2 weeks go by. Hey, it's been another 2 weeks. What's going on with that dispute? Just stay on top of it throughout the semester. Okay, it's really hard for me to keep track of your dispute. Okay, so that's all fine. There's 2 outliers, which are the final project and the final exam. So that's what this sentence is. The final exam and the final project's due on reading day. So that how can we finish the disputes when it's due on reading day? So it's due on reading day. We're going to get it done in 1 week. And then we have like 3 days before grades are due. So what's really hard for the final project is you don't have too much time to do a dispute. Once we release that grade, you need to check immediately and file that dispute. The final cutoff for that is 48 hours before grades are due. Grades are due on Tuesday, December 17th at 5 p.m. So you have until Sunday to file a dispute for that. Okay, they also need to be completed because we're running out of time there. We release your grades on Friday. We have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then grades are due. So you have like 2 days to submit that dispute and get it done. And here's the final cutoff. So this day right here, December 15th at 5 p.m., after that date, the grade book is finalized. Okay, that's it. Then we have 2 days. We go over everything. I add some bonus points sometimes for attendance. We'll talk about that here soon. And then that's it. Okay, so that's the final cutoff for everything. Anybody have any questions? Usually I like my class in open discussion. There's a lot going on here. Even when I created this, I had to read it a few times. So just ask questions. If you have questions, ask questions. Okay, I like it as an open discussion. Last thing, I get a lot of students at the end, so that's the final cutoff. Now everybody's reviewing their grade, and they say, "Oh, Professor Wergeles, I'm 89.9. Can you just bump me up and I'll get to A minus?" I hate that. That's my biggest pet peeve when a student emails me and asks them to bump them up, round them up to the next grade. Okay, I can't do that because if I do it for you, well, what about somebody who got 89.8? I just round you up, should I round them? Oh, what about 0.7? And it just gets too complicated. So I'm going to add some bump up points for attendance. So if your grade moved up, great. If it didn't, I can't do anything about it. So don't send those emails to me. That's my biggest pet peeve. So if I give bonus points to you, I got to give them to everybody. So I can't give anybody special treatment. Okay. That was complicated stuff. Here comes some fun stuff. I do developer nights. It's on Wednesday nights in the journalism building. I like developer nights because there's free pizza. But also, it's a chance to hang out with other developers. So a lot of times, you got a friend who's interested. Is that a bomb? Okay. You know that, who got that text? Was it in Hawaii? They got a text? And that'd be horrible if that was one of them. Yeah. Pizza is not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. Okay, not this Wednesday. I'll probably start developer nights next Wednesday. But anyway, IT program, they buy pizza. So there's free pizza. Hopefully they'll be there next Wednesday. And you got a friend who's interested in programming, bring them along. Okay, it doesn't need to be somebody in the class. It's a developer night. It's like kind of like a hangout, but also a chance to do an office hour. So if you need to talk to me, it's a good chance to go and be there. And I see a lot of students helping other students there. So it's a really good environment. And it's in the journalism building. That building's sweet. Okay, it's like a new building made out of glass. The room I'm in, you can see in it. They always get confused. There's another room that says Microsoft Lab. The one I'm in, you're going to be able to see me. It's got the whole wall is windows. So when you're walking by, you will see me in there, in that room. Wednesday nights, 6. So a lot of students are like, "Oh, I work. I can't make it to your office hours." Well, here's a chance to make it and meet with me in the evenings. Here's a link to the building. Here's a link to other buildings like my office in Naka. Okay, here comes some quiz questions here. Now, you can use any text editor you want, but I'm going to be using brackets. So the recommended editor for the course is brackets. That's a quiz question. And the recommended browser is Chrome. Now, a lot of times students are making a website, and they'll do it in Safari, or Firefox, whatever, and then we're grading it in Chrome, and it just doesn't look the same. It just doesn't function the same. So I'm telling you right now, we're going to be grading it in Chrome, so you should develop it in Chrome. That way when we grade it, you know it works. There's always these cross-browser issues that you're going to experience. So if there's just one browser, it makes everything less confusing. Students will email me later, hey, Professor Worley, check my site out in Safari. It works just fine. No, we're grading it in Chrome. Make sure it works in Chrome. Now, brackets is nice because I like their live preview. Other editors do live preview as well. But in class, we're going to be going over code. We're going to be live coding. We're going to implement code. I want you to ask me questions about it. So what's nice about brackets is it has live preview, and you can follow along with me. If you do your own text editor or your own IDE, you're on your own. You need to know how to work it. With brackets, you can ask me questions. How do I do this? And I may be able to help you. Okay, those are two questions right there. Chrome is the browser. Brackets is the editor. I see some of you without laptops, so I really recommend bringing a laptop to class. Like I just said, we're going to be live coding. You can come with a pen and pencil and take notes, that's fine. But if you have that computer, you're coding with me, or you're writing down notes, you'll get a lot more out of this class. If you're just kind of sitting watching me, which is fine, you could do that. It's better than not coming. It's just really hard to get engaged that way. So if you're developing, I'm developing, I think you'll have a better interaction with this course. So bring a laptop. If you don't have a laptop, let me know, and I'll see if I can get you one. Okay, IT has some resources. We may be able to get you a laptop. If you need to use a computing site, they should have the software there, brackets and Chrome. If they don't, let me know. Okay, here's some of the last few quiz questions that I didn't get to go over yesterday. So you guys are lucky. Class recordings, a lot of times we're in class, you're on battery power. It's an hour and 15 minutes. We got 5 minutes left and I really hit the main point of the lecture and your laptop dies. So the first instinct is to go to your pocket, pull out your phone, and then take a picture. Snap the code real quick, and then you'll do it at home. Well, maybe, I don't know what's going on up there. Somebody hacked my machine. Yeah. Okay, maybe sometimes I'm up here teaching, maybe my zipper's down, maybe my mouth's open, maybe I got a booger in my nose, whatever. I'm up here, I'm acting like a weirdo, and then you snap a picture and then post it online, and everybody's making fun of me. Okay, so I don't want that to happen. But let's say your laptop dies, you really need that code. You just say, hey, Professor Worley, can I get a picture? I'll step out. I say, yeah, take a picture. You snap it, and we'll continue. Okay, I'd rather that to happen than some weird picture gets posted online. Okay, you see those news reporters all the time. They're doing the weather, and they don't even realize it, and they have that funny picture, and everybody's laughing at it. Okay, so that's why I put that there. Your computer dies, you want to take a picture or video, just say, hey, can I take a picture? Let me know about it. The other thing, so that's a quiz question, that one right there, class recordings. The other thing is, you're registering for this course, you're taking this course, I'm giving you resources. I got a bunch of videos on YouTube you're going to watch. Those are all the course's material. They're actually my material. And I'm giving you basically a license to use that material, but not to share that material. Okay, so one big thing is you finish the challenge early, your buddy needs help, you send them over your challenge. Okay, that's going to be a violation. Or you got a friend who's taking the class next semester. The challenge changed, but you go ahead and send them the old challenge to help them out. That's a violation. All the challenges submitted for this course get ran through a program. So we're checking all the submissions. We're checking. You can change the variable names. You can move around functions. It's still going to get flagged for cheating. Okay, if it gets flagged for cheating, then I'm going to get both people in trouble. We can identify 2 years ago that challenge was shared with this semester. Okay, it's not that difficult. So just take the course, learn, keep the material to yourself, and then move on when you're done. Don't even come back to this course. Somebody asks you for material, you just say, no, I got rid of it, or I don't want to share it. Okay, I hate using this example, but it's the best example I have. Let's say you're on the street and somebody comes up and asks you for a cigarette. Okay, they say, hey, can I bum a cigarette? You give them a cigarette, you're like, yeah, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to give you a cigarette. And then they go and smoke that cigarette. Do you really think you help them? Okay, we all know now cigarettes cause cancer. So you think, oh, I'm helping this guy, I'm giving him a cigarette. No, actually, you're helping them get cancer. The same with this course. Your buddy's like, man, I got 10 minutes left. Can you just give me the solution? You're like, okay, I'll give you my homework. I'm going to help you out. Well, did you really help them out? They didn't learn. They just paid thousands of dollars for this course and didn't get that challenge done. They go to an interview. They don't have that knowledge. They don't get in. They can't get a job because they didn't learn anything. Okay, so technically you're not helping them out. That struggle, even though it sucks, we've all been through it, I've been through it, that struggle of getting that challenge done is important. Okay, that struggle is a good thing. So just do the work, keep everything to yourself, let's learn and have some fun. That's what that big long paragraph says. Here it talks about, I'm going to give the person cheating and the person who shared the work a 0. Okay, and that's going to get reported. So it talks about the reporting procedures. And, I didn't know this, but the instructor alone has the power to remove you from the course or remove you from the campus. They can say, okay, I'm going to submit to this provost and I want this student expelled. Okay, so read this. That is a quiz question, by the way, where the instructor has the power to remove you from a course. That's a quiz question, but as long as you're doing the right thing, that won't happen. Okay, I don't want to do that, but cheating is a serious offense here. We take it very seriously. Same with classroom misconduct, like that guy, he just walked out. That really distracted me. It may have distracted you guys. So try to come, show up on time, stay all the way to the end. I'm not mad, but your phone went off. That distracted everybody. Turn your phones off. Try to be respectful of others. Okay, so classroom misconduct. So the instructor can ask you to leave if you're disrupting class. Just come here, learn, be respectful of others. I always say, be cool with me, I'm going to be cool with you. Be cool with others, they're going to be cool with you. Okay, here's a big one. This is a quiz question as well. Okay, you'll see how long that quiz is. It's like 25 questions. I think we've went over most of them. So a lot of times you're gonna get an assignment and maybe you're not happy. You get your grade back, you're like, man, they got me. I hate them. The TA was mean, and he was picking on me, whatever. If you have a problem, the best person to come to is going to be me. A lot of times students will say, oh, I have a problem. Professor Worgley's didn't do this right, so I'm going to go to the dean. I'm going to go straight to the dean and I'm going to talk about this. Well, you can do that, but the problem with that is once you go past the instructor, a committee is formed and they have to vote on what happens next. So once you bypass the instructor or go around the instructor's back, now it's out of the instructor's hands. Like, let's say it's a grade change. You were right. I look at it and say, yeah, I'll give you the points back. It would have been that easy. But now you go to the dean, a committee's formed, and every time that committee is formed, they're always against the student. So once it leaves my hands, it's really hard for you to get your case won. And it could have been a simple grade fix, or maybe a late work, you had a doctor's appointment, whatever. So the instructor is actually your friend in the classroom setting. So if you have a problem with the course, a grade, anything, come to me first. Okay, come to me first. If we can settle it, great. If not, then you go up. Okay, that's what I tell students. Okay, if you come to me, I'm going to be on your side. I'm going to be the one to try to help you out. The high up administrators, they don't care. They don't know what's going on. They form a committee. How can they make a decision when they weren't even there? Okay, so that decision never results well in your favor. If you have a disability, that's fine. Go to the Disability Center, make an accommodation, give it to me, let me know. This course is non-discrimination, so we don't discriminate on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, disability, or status as a protected veteran. To come to class, know I'm going to treat everybody equal, know you're safe here. Okay, it's a learning environment. We're going to try to learn, have some fun, and everybody's going to be treated equally. If there's any sexual violence, you got to report it. If I hear about it, I have to report it. You go to the Title IX office. Any questions? It's really, really weird. Yesterday we had a discussion about all this stuff, and today nobody has any questions. So that made perfect sense to you? Okay. Any questions? Late work, disputes, reporting procedures, questions about the finals, assignments? Final project, it's almost like take your knowledge from the course and build something. So like we go over HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you need to have HTML, CSS, JavaScript in the final project, however you choose. So then we learn PHP, and then we get into databases. So your project needs to implement PHP and have a database for whatever you choose. So it's pretty open, and almost like take what you learn and go and build something. People who do good on that usually start early. So we're not going to learn everything, and then you do the final project. We're going to learn half the material, start the final project, and learn the other half. So if you start building the front end, get all that finished, by the time we finish learning the back end, you can then finish it for your final project. But if you wait, you say, I'm going to wait till I know everything, and then I'm going to build. Well, this could be too late. So you got to start early on that. Okay. So course isn't done. I actually like to show you brackets and show you how it works, because next class we're going to start live coding. So I want to show you how to set up your environment so next class you're ready to go. Okay, and actually there's an assignment, just like download the programs, create a hello world, and then submit it on Canvas. Okay, that's going to be due before next class, so you have everything set up and ready to go. So like I told you, we'll be using brackets. You can do this now or you can do it later. If you search brackets online, they have one called Brackets.io. So here's the editor I recommend using. So you just go here, you click download, do an install. Hopefully you have Chrome, but you could just search download Chrome and get Chrome as well. Okay, so you should go and download those two. Run through the little thing, it unzips it, puts it on your computer. Now here's what brackets looks like. Okay, here's brackets. It's a basic editor. Now what I like about it is if you have a website, let's say this is a random website here, you can click on this little thunderbolt over here on the right. You can do what's called a live preview. So it'll open up Chrome and then show you your site as you're working. So if I change this title here, Get Started with Brackets, and I say Get Started with Brackets version 2, it shows up in real time. So as you're typing, you can see the website in real time. If you apply a style to the site, you can see it in real time. So that's why I really like brackets, because it has a live preview. So what I'll usually do in class is I'll usually put these side by side, and I'll put the browser a little bit smaller. Okay, so the next class, I'm just going to come to class, I'm going to open these two things up, and we're going to start coding. I'm going to have it just like this. I recommend you have it just like this. Okay, so I'm writing code, you're writing code. And then you're like, okay, well, I see we just wrote that. It doesn't really make sense. Let's talk about it a little bit more. So we can talk about it more. Or maybe something's not very clear. You can ask me about it in the code. And I'll talk about the code as we're going along. Okay, so I'll say, okay, well, this does this, and in the industry, I like to do it this way, and hopefully that'll help. So anyway, for the challenge, I'm going to post it here soon. Once you have brackets open, you can just watch for now because I know you don't have all this installed. You're going to go to a file. You're going to click on New. And here's your blank canvas. So in the course, I'm going to talk about the 5 required tags a lot. And you're going to want to know the 5 required tags. If you search online, web development 5 required tags, you're not going to find anything. Okay, but the 5 required tags is listed on W3 Schools. It just doesn't say 5 required tags. Speaking of W3 Schools, that's going to be our textbook. So if I come over here to W3 Schools, and let's say I search HTML. Okay, they have really nice tutorials here. This is kind of our textbook. So I'm going to be going over stuff. If you want to go here and read, that'd be good. And you're going to see a lot of the 5 required tags in these examples. Okay, actually, before we get there, I think I have a PowerPoint. By the way, I hate PowerPoints, but I do have a few. I like to code in the lecture. Let me go over this PowerPoint because there will be some questions here. Also, I kind of want to show you why web development is important before we get into 5 required tags. I know I started talking about that. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Let's step it back. Let's talk about HTML and CSS and talk about why this class is important. Okay, I haven't updated this for a few semesters, but I would say a year ago, and it probably increased, the annual income for a web developer, let's say full stack development, for the nation was $75,000. Okay, that's pretty good. The pay is also based on the knowledge you know. Okay, I've seen people get into Google and they even never went to college. They just knew programming well. They studied LeetCode. Code. They did all the right things and got into Google. They don't have any educational background. And that's one thing I like about programming. Coming to school gives you that foundation, but it doesn't mean you have to go to school to get into the good companies. In my opinion, it gives you the extra benefit compared to everybody else. Like if you try to learn this on your own, you could do it, but you don't have that foundation there. So coming to school is what I recommend, but that doesn't mean that that's going to get you the job, and you don't have to have an education to get the job. So that's one thing I really like about programming in general. And a lot of jobs allow you to work from anywhere. I was in Silicon Valley all summer. Space in Silicon Valley is expensive. I had a 700 square foot apartment. It was $3,000 per month. It was a 1-bedroom. It was built back in 1960. That thing was old, and it was small, and it was $3,000 per month, and that's just the rent. So think about how much that office space costs when Google builds a brand new building that's 10,000 square feet. That thing's expensive. They want to get as many people out of there as possible, work from home. That way they don't have to pay for the land. They don't have to pay for the real estate. So that's what I like about web development. You can work from home. And it's in high demand. You know, you're going to CS, you're studying all this stuff, but when in reality, when you get out in the industry, you're going to be doing maybe 3 things. Web development, mobile apps, and if you go to graduate school, you may get into research, doing machine learning. Okay, it's web development, mobile apps, and machine learning. That's the hot thing. AR, VR is becoming hot as well. So that's a big thing too now. So web development is one of those 3. It's in very high demand. You think about all the big companies. Facebook, that's a web app. Google was a search engine for the web. Amazon, e-commerce, is web. All the big systems are web. Here's some salaries in Colombia, and this is old. $65,000 in Colombia. That's crazy. That's a lot of money for a web developer. Okay, you can look through this. I'm talking about salaries, why it's important. I looked at Glassdoor, Indeed. Okay, here's the nation's average, $77,000 per year. Here's different companies and their jobs, Verizon, Apple. Google web developer, $120,000. Okay, it's a lot of money for knowing this technology, knowing how to build apps, knowing how to get users. Here's the different cities. You'll see San Francisco is the highest. One thing to remember though, just because it's the highest salary doesn't mean you're going to make more. It costs a lot to stay there. Apartment, 700 square feet was $3,000 per month. So you have to calculate cost of living as well. But definitely in San Francisco, you're going to get the highest salary. Okay, moving on. So money is a big deal. All the big apps were made from the web. So you can see web is very important. There's money there. There's users there. All the big companies were made based around the web. Okay, so here comes to a quiz question. What's HTML? HTML is hypertext markup language. You want to memorize that, what HTML stands for, because that will be on the in-class exam. So right now, you don't have to stress too much about the exam. You have plenty of time, but start learning these acronyms. What's HTML? What's CSS? Hypertext markup language. It's a markup language that has markup tags. That's why it's called markup. We'll look at it here soon. Now, each tag describes the document content differently. I have what I call the 5 required tags, and we have a bunch of tags we're going to learn. You don't need to memorize all the tags, but you'll want to know how to search documentation for those tags. So there's a keyword here on the third bullet. It's called describes. That is another exam question. So what does HTML stand for, and what does HTML do, or what's the definition of HTML? So HTML describes an HTML document by using HTML tags. And I'm looking for that keyword describes. HTML describes a document. Okay, the keyword is describes there when you're taking the exam. What's CSS? CSS is cascading style sheets. You want to know that acronym? What does CSS do? CSS describes, keyword describes there again, how HTML elements are to be displayed on a screen, paper, and other media. Usually CSS saves a lot of work. Okay, we make an external style sheet, we can use it across the entire site. So I have one style sheet, I can use it, let's say, across 10, 20 different web pages. So if I have an external style sheet, it makes my life a lot easier. It saves a lot of work. So the two things on HTML, CSS, know what the acronym is, know what the definition is. And the keyword for both of them is describes. HTML describes the content. CSS describes the style. Okay, how they're to be displayed. Any questions? You guys are making me work hard today. Like I was telling you, W3 Schools is textbook. Kind of jumped the gun. I should have talked about it here. A lot of times students will find multiple solutions online. So they'll find W3 Schools says something and Stack Overflow says something different. Okay, W3 Schools is going to override everything. So if you find two different sources, go with W3 Schools. So I say, when in doubt, check W3 Schools out. Okay, that's where actually, I would say 98% of the quiz questions come from W3 Schools. So if you look at those articles, W3 Schools, I say, you should read this, this, and this. That's where the quiz questions are coming from. Last thing, one of the most important things for this class, we're going to be talking about Amazon Web Services and we're going to be making servers on the cloud. And when students leave this class, they come back to me several years later and they say that was the most useful thing they learned, was how to set up a server on Amazon AWS. You know, even if you're watching football now, you'll see sponsored by Amazon AWS, and they show you all those cool stats. Amazon AWS is becoming very large, so we're learning how to set up servers there. So you want to kind of get familiar with what it is now. We're not going to be setting up servers for a while, but go online. What is AWS? What's an Amazon EC2? Start reading some documentation. They have a lot of good documentation online. Because a lot of times students, we start setting up servers, they're like, what is AWS? I don't even know what this is, and I'm clicking all this stuff. So if you can kind of get a general idea of what it is, when we start setting it up, it'll make a lot more sense to you. Okay. Now I'm coming back to brackets, and now let's talk about the 5 required tags. Okay, the first one is called the doc type. It's going to be up on the first part of a page. And it's going to tell the browser what type of HTML is this. Okay, it's saying to the browser, I'm using what version of HTML? Well, this happens to be an HTML5 doc type. Okay, so on a quiz, it's going to say, what's an HTML5 doc type? Here's an HTML5 doc type. I don't know if you can do a comment up there. We're going to try it. That's the first one. Then the second one is going to be the HTML start tag. Why is this not turning blue? Okay, I need to save the file. We'll do that in a second. Then I have the head. Then comes the title. This kind of sucks because it's not doing autocomplete. Then I have the body. Okay, I'm going to go over these again. Let me just write them down before. Oops. That's a habit. Okay, I have the doc type, the HTML, head, title, and the body. So that's the 5. That's the 5 required tags. You notice this isn't color-coded. It's all black and white. I need to save this file in brackets and let it know it's an HTML file. And then it's going to start color-coding everything for me and auto-completing for me. I like brackets because it auto-completes. So you'll write the start tag, and it'll automatically put the close tag for you. So for instance, on the title there, you'll see I have 2 tags. The one on the left, we call it the start tag. One on the right is the close tag. And that is one of my HTML tags. That's a complete tag. Okay, it includes the start tag and the close tag. Everything in between is the content. So let me save this first. So here's the doc type. That's the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. I'm going to save this. Now, this is a good point to talk about because for my class, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be lectures, there's going to be quiz material, you're going to have your notes. I recommend putting a directory, creating a directory for this class. So here I have a 20A30 directory. And for me, I got a bunch of stuff. I got my lectures. So we're in a lecture right now. And I don't know what this is, but I'm going to create a new folder called Lecture01, L1. And this is our intro to HTML and CSS. However you want to put it, you don't have to spell it exactly the same as mine, but I would create a directory for 20A30. Inside that, I'd have a lectures directory, and inside that, keep track of all your lectures. Then you may have a challenge directory and a quiz directory. A lot of times students will come to office hour, I'm like, oh, find challenge 2. They start looking, they go to their documents, they have like 10,000 documents they're trying to scroll through, and oh, it's over here, no, it's on the desktop. You know, put a folder for Mizzou, have all your classes in there. For my class, have a lectures and challenges. Keep it organized, you can find it really quickly. Okay, so here it is, lecture 1. And then we're going to call this one my first page.html. Now, if you're not a programmer, you may not be familiar with this, but this is camel case. I don't know if you can see that. Is that ceiling blocking you? Okay, it looks like it's kind of blocking out there. That's called camel case. It's kind of hard to see. Programmers don't do spaces. Okay, you mash all the words together and then you put it uppercase. Camel case, some of that may be common sense. For the non-programmers, that's what we do. For the programmers in here, you may think I'm starting out slow. Just wait. Okay, this course will get challenging. Okay, that comment worked. So here's my 5 required tags. Now it's color-coded. I put the HTML extension, so brackets knows it's an HTML file. I got my doc type, HTML, head, title, and the body. Now, we're going to be using a validator in this class. So every time you submit your challenge, make sure you go to the validator and validate that HTML. I have a link on the syllabus, but you go over here on the browser, you just type HTML validator. You'll see this right here, W3C markup validation service. Should be validator.w3.org. Click on it. Now I'm taking this page, it's the 5 required tags, and I'm just going to run it through the validator and let's see what it says. So you'll see here I have validate by URI, validate by file upload, validate by direct input. I always do by file upload, so I'm clicking that tab. I'm going to select the file I just made. So I'm going to go to my 2830 directory, go into my lectures, go into lecture 1. Here's my HTML file. Okay, here's my camel case. I'm going to click on check. And I have the 5 required tags. I didn't write any code. I already have errors. Okay, one thing, and you want to do this for every page that you write, you need to specify the language of the page. That's going to be in the HTML tag right here. So you'll type in language, and we're just going to write English for now. Okay, so that's a requirement for all your challenges. The second is I have an error. The character encoding was not declared. It's defaulting to Windows. Okay, Windows encoding, a new line is -N-R. But all Linux machines is just -N. So we need to specify the encoding. We're going to do that here. So you say meta character set equal to UTF-8. This is a requirement for all your challenges. And then the last thing, it says the title tag must not be empty. So you must have a title for the page to validate. So we're basically compiling this code. The compiler says there must be something in the title tag. So we'll put something in the title tag, my first page. Okay, so you saw I have the 5 required tags. That's always required for every challenge. And then I have a few additional things the validator said. I need to specify the language, the character set, and something must be in the title tag. Okay, that's a quiz question, and it will be on all of your challenges. If a TA opens up a challenge and you don't have that, they're going to reject your submission. Okay, that's an essential requirement. What you do is you come back, do a check again, and now you'll see this. Document completed, no errors or warnings to show. Go ahead. Uh-huh. You still need to specify. Yeah. So there's 2 things. One is the file on the machine, which will be UTF-8. And then the other is how does the browser interpret it when it reads the code in. So there'll be 2. So on the file on the local machine, it's UTF-8. And then when the browser reads it, you need to say, read this in UTF-8. That's a really good question. I haven't had that question before. Would you recommend like saving this as a template? Exactly. And that's what students do. Like I'm telling you right now, this could be on every single challenge. So you can either type it out every time or save it as a template. And every time you make a site, you load this up. Now you can do that too. You click File. You just do it like a Save As. And you just say, this is my HTML template. Every time I open up a challenge, I start with this. That's a very good point. Now, when you submit your challenge, make sure you get this green message. The first thing the TAs are told to do is to take your code and run it through the validator before they even start grading it. If it comes up with a warning or an error, they're not going to even look at your code. So the very first thing they do is they take your code and run it through the validator. So right before you submit, take your code and run it through the validator. Make sure there's no errors or warnings. Okay, you should get this green message there. And on every challenge, I say this as well. Like I say, go through the validator, make sure you get this message. But just make sure you actually do it. A lot of times students read that and they're like, oh, it's good. I checked it a long time ago. Well, did you change the code? If you change the code, it probably, it could have some errors now. Okay, I've got a few minutes left. I'm going to show you how to do the first challenge real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Okay, so give me 5 more minutes, and then we'll get out of here. So coming back, the challenge is going to ask you to put some basic information about yourself. Make your first web page, basic tags. So you're going to want a heading on there, like an H1. You'll see now that brackets knows it's an HTML file. It'll do the start tag and close tag for me, which is really nice. Now remember, in the middle is the content. So let me do a live preview real quick. Here's our page. You'll see the title shows up here in the tab. So that title tag is going to show up here. And if I write an H1, so I'll just say, Professor Worgley's bio, whatever. Click Save. You're going to see it pop up. So H1 is a heading. Google will actually use that so when they search on the web, it can find your page. So they use the title, they use the metadata, and they'll use the headings on the page. So if I put Professor Worgley's bio, and this site were live, they search Professor Worgley's bio, this could use that header there in H1 to index my page. And then it's going to say, make a paragraph tag and put your hobbies. Okay, so, I like to play drums, blah, blah, blah. You can put a bunch of stuff there. And then it's going to tell you to put another paragraph tag. So I'll put another, you see the P tag there, that's a paragraph. It's just regular text. And I forgot what else it tells you to do. It says, put your hobbies and put something. I can't remember. So we'll just say, I am taking CS 2830 or CS/IT. So this is HTML. Okay, HTML, one thing that you should always know is it must be in the body. And now I have students who are like, well, I'm taking this paragraph tag and I put it in the head and it still shows up on the page. So why do you say it must be in the body? Well, this class is going to be all about proper programming techniques. So let's say you go to a job and you start writing HTML code in the head. Immediately you're going to get rejected. They're going to say this student doesn't know what they're doing. They're writing content in the head and they're going to reject your application. So yes, it shows up on the browser, but that's not where it's supposed to be. Browsers are actually really smart these days. For instance, a paragraph tag should always have a start and close tag. I can get rid of the close tag. My content still shows up. I could get rid of the start tag and my content still shows up. You'll see brackets has the error there. The browser had no problem because the browser is going to automatically insert that tag for you. So even though I put it up here in the head and it works, that's not where it's supposed to be. And if you run it through the validator will give you errors. So all the content should be in the body. All of the CSS should be in the head. So let's say I want to style this thing. I'm going to write a style tag. And we'll talk about this more as we go along. I'm just going to write it quickly because we're running out of time. I'm going to select those paragraph tags. I'm going to change the color, let's say, to yellow. Okay, that's a bad idea. Let's change it to blue. Okay, so here I have HTML. I have 2 paragraph tags. Now I'm writing CSS up there at the top in the style tags. And I'm saying for all the paragraph tags, select them. That P up there in the style is called a selector. And I'm going to change the color to blue. Okay, or I can say on the H1, I'm going to select all the H1s. I'm going to do a text alignment center. Now I move that H1 over. You'll see it shows up in real time after you save the page. So on the challenge, there's some styling. It's going to say, you know, center the H1, make it blue. Make sure you follow those. Make sure you follow the criteria.
Where's the title at?
The title is going to be up here in this top tab here. So the title is going to be in the tab. That title is technically metadata. So the head is for all the metadata. Technically, CSS is a styling, but it's kind of the metadata for the page. One thing real quick. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Do you remember what I was going to say? Okay. Okay, go ahead. I forgot. Why did it make it blue? Then I selected the paragraphs, and then I changed the color to blue. But on the other one, I said select an H1. So over here, you see in the style tags, there's a P. That's the selector. I'm saying select all paragraph tags, make them blue. But the H1 only do its center. So the paragraph tag will only, the P up there will only select the paragraph tags. And then the H1 will only select the header. So they have to be matching there. Just that one little section. So you'll do something like, you'll put this in like a span, or you could put it in another paragraph tag. But if you put it in a paragraph tag, it'll show up on a new line. And then you can say, okay, here, span, change the color to red. Something like that. Good question. I forgot what I was going to say. My battery's dying. We're out of time. Use this for the challenge. Next class, we'll start coding. Okay, nice to meet everyone. We'll see you next time.